Most of us look at our ceiling, see no water stains, and assume the roof above is perfectly fine. We tend to think roofs only fail when a massive, dramatic storm tears through the neighborhood. But asphalt shingle roofs rarely fail all at once. The breakdown is actually a slow, predictable process of surface deterioration that happens over months and years of daily weather exposure. This chart maps roof damage, comparing how a problem looks from the ground against the actual risk of water intrusion. The real danger hides here, defects that look incredibly minor from the yard, but actively expose your home to moisture. Waiting until a leak finally breaks through your ceiling guarantees that what could have been a localized and expensive shingle repair will instead require fixing rotted wood, soaked insulation, and ruined drywall. Here in Camarillo, the local environment silently accelerates that wear. Long periods of intense sun and ultraviolet exposure bake your asphalt shingles day after day. Over time, that constant heat draws the oils out of the asphalt. The shingles physically dry out, lose their natural flexibility, and become stiff and brittle. Once they lose flexibility, coastal gusts catch the weakened edges of these stiff shingles, repeatedly lifting and stressing the material until it finally fractures. So when you look up at a worn roof, how do you mathematically separate harmless cosmetic aging from an active breach in your home's defense? Knowing exactly which visual symptoms demand immediate professional repair is the only reliable way to protect your home's value and catch a small defect before it becomes catastrophic water damage. We evaluate risk using this matrix, cross-referencing shingle damage types against location. Let's isolate the threat of missing or loose shingles. This cycle starts when wind weakens a tab's adhesive bond, lifting it until it detaches entirely. A single missing tab interrupts the precise overlapping pattern of the roof slope. Without that piece, the vulnerable underlayment beneath it is instantly exposed to the elements. Replacing a few detached shingles right away is an affordable fix. Ignoring them gives the wind a perfect opportunity to catch the now exposed edges of the surrounding shingles, ripping them off next. Authorizing a swift, localized repair halts that cascading failure before it strips across the entire slope and forces a major replacement project. Looking further down the matrix, curling and cracking are direct results of the long-term ultraviolet baking we see in our climate. As years of heat dry out the material, the asphalt physically shrinks. That tension forces the shingle to pull upward, contorting the edges. Once those edges lift, the roof can no longer shed water cleanly. Wind can easily drive rain straight up and underneath the raised shingles, completely bypassing the outer barrier. One isolated crack in an open section of the roof carries a very different risk profile than a dense cluster of curled, lifting shingles in a single area. An isolated crack might just need monitoring. A cluster of warped edges proves the roofing system in that specific section has lost its ability to resist the weather. The rough mineral granules embedded in your shingles aren't there for decoration. They act as the primary armor, shielding the raw asphalt from direct UV destruction. Over the years, continuous thermal expansion and the friction of heavy rain runoff gradually strip those granules away from the surface. Look for bald, dark patches on the roof slope, or heavy accumulations of coarse sediment washing out of your downspouts. Granule loss rarely means you have an active leak today. Instead, it serves as an early warning indicator that the material is physically exhausting its defenses. Concentrated granule loss tells you the reliable lifespan of that material is ending, providing a short window to plan before structural cracks develop. Looking at the horizontal axis of our matrix, a surface defect carries a different threat level depending on location. Roof valleys act as massive funnels, carrying concentrated, fast-moving water directly over the central joint during rainstorms. There is also elevated structural risk around flashing, vent pipes, and wall intersections. These are areas where the continuous, overlapping field of shingles is intentionally cut and broken. A cracked shingle out in the wide-open expanse of the roof is a low immediate risk. Move that exact same crack an inch away from a metal pipe vent, and it becomes a critical threat. Location dictates urgency. Any minor surface defect sitting near a drainage path or a roof penetration instantly escalates into a mandatory urgent repair. To stay ahead of these risks, you can use this checklist to safely evaluate your property from the ground after a period of high winds or heavy rain.
Scan the roofline for physical irregularities. Look for uneven tabs that appear to be lifting, or the undeniable evidence of broken shingle pieces lying in your yard. Check inside as well, but remember that unexplained attic dampness or brown ceiling stains are lagging indicators. They mean the exterior system has already failed. Pay close attention to failure patterns over time. If you notice a shingle blowing off the exact same section of the roof after every single storm, that area is highly compromised. Spotting multiple items on this checklist means your roof's built-in margin of error is fully consumed, and the structural decking underneath is exposed. If you want to protect your budget, waiting for a visible leak in your living room is the most expensive choice you can make. It means paying exorbitant rates for new framing, insulation, and drywall repairs instead of a cheap shingle swap. Stepping in with an early, localized repair stops progressive decay in its tracks. It secures the weak point and pushes the massive capital expense of a full roof replacement years down the road. But accurately judging that risk from your lawn is impossible. It requires a professional looking beneath the surface to verify the underlayment and decking. If our matrix points to elevated risk, the definitive next step is to contact Repair Camarillo for a targeted, professional inspection. Utilizing our Shingles Roof Repair service for a localized, cost-effective fix is the most mathematically sound way to stabilize your home's defense system long before systemic failure takes over.